The message that broke the silence. My phone buzzed at 6:12 a.m. The sound sliced through the quiet like a blade. At 60 years old, I treasure my mornings. I wake before the sun, wrap myself in a soft grey cardigan, and stand by the kitchen window while the world slowly brightens. It's the one time of day when life feels simple, when the past doesn't press so heavily, and the future doesn't whisper its uncertainties. That morning, I had just poured my tea when my phone lit up on the counter. Call now. It was from my lawyer. No greeting, no explanation, just urgency. My name is Emma, and I am 60 years old. I have lived through heartbreak, divorce, single motherhood, and financial hardship. I have buried my own mother and held my daughter through her first heartbreak. I have endured storms before. But something about those two words made my hands shake in a way I couldn't explain. I called immediately. He answered before the first full ring. Emma, he said, his voice strained, you need to sit down. My heart began to pound so loudly I could barely hear him. What is it? I asked. It's about Lily. My daughter. Even now, saying her name tightens something in my chest. The girl I built my world around. Lily was born on a rainy October evening. I remember the sound of the storm outside the hospital window and thinking, you are my sunshine in this chaos. When her father left us 5 years later, I promised myself she would never feel abandoned. I worked double shifts as a nurse. I missed sleep but never missed her school plays. I saved every extra dollar for her college fund. I learned how to braid hair from YouTube videos so she wouldn't feel different from other little girls. I poured my life into her. When she cried, I held her. When she failed, I lifted her. When she doubted herself, I became her voice of confidence. At 32, she is grown now, married, educated, beautiful in ways that go far beyond appearance. Or so I believed. The call that changed everything. 3 days ago, my lawyer continued, Lily and her husband came to see me. I blinked. Why? They requested information about how to obtain power of attorney over your finances and medical decisions. The words felt unreal. As a precaution, he added carefully, they expressed concerns about your mental clarity. My breath caught in my throat. Mental clarity. I'm perfectly fine, I whispered. I know, he said firmly, that's why this is troubling. He explained they had asked about declaring me mentally unfit. They inquired about transferring property ownership. They wanted to know how quickly assets could be liquidated if necessary. Assets. That word echoed painfully. I wasn't a mother in that conversation. I was an estate. The subtle warnings I ignored. When I hung up, memories began arranging themselves differently, like puzzle pieces I had refused to connect. Lily's sudden interest in my finances. Mom, you should simplify things. Mom, you forget little details sometimes. Mom, maybe it's time to think about selling the house. 2 weeks earlier, she had insisted on coming to a routine checkup. When the doctor asked me questions, she answered before I could. She repeats stories, Lily had said lightly. I had laughed then. Now that laugh felt like betrayal echoing backward through time. The house they wanted. My home is modest, it's not a mansion or a fortune. But it is mine. Every wall holds a memory. The kitchen where Lily and I baked cookies during holidays. The hallway where we marked her height year after year in pencil. The small backyard where I sat alone the night her father left, promising myself I would survive for her sake. They didn't just want property. They wanted control. And the realization felt like a crack running straight through my heart. The confrontation. I drove to Lily's house that afternoon. The entire ride felt unreal, as though I were watching my life from outside my body. When she opened the door, she smiled. Mum, you should have called. We need to talk. Her smile disappeared. Mark sat at the dining table, his posture stiffening as soon as he saw my face. I stayed standing. I spoke to my lawyer, I said calmly. Silence fell heavy and suffocating. Lily looked at Mark. Mark looked at the floor. Tell me, I continued softly, why you're trying to declare me incompetent. Her eyes filled with tears immediately. "We're worried about you," she said. "Worried," I repeated. "You forget things, Like what?" She hesitated. You tell the same stories." I felt something inside me shift, not anger, not rage, but clarity. "Everyone repeats stories," I said. "That's called memory, not illness." Mark finally spoke. "We're just trying to protect the family assets." There it was again. Assets. Not Mum. Not Emma. Assets. The truth beneath the excuse. The truth came out slowly. They were drowning in debt again. Another business idea had failed, credit cards were maxed, loans unpaid. Someone had advised them that if they controlled my estate, they could manage things more efficiently. Sell the cabin. Refinance the house. Access my savings. It would help all of us, Mark insisted. All of us. I looked at my daughter, my baby, and realized something painful. She had grown used to my rescue. Every time she stumbled, I caught her. Every time she miscalculated, I compensated. I had taught her that I would always absorb the consequences. And now she expected to take them preemptively. "You didn't ask for help," I said quietly. "You tried to take it." Her silence confirmed everything. The loneliness of betrayal. That night was one of the hardest of my life. Not because of money, but because betrayal from a stranger wounds differently than betrayal from your child. A stranger doesn't know the sacrifices. A stranger hasn't felt your heartbeat from inside your body. I lay awake staring at the ceiling, replaying her childhood in my mind. Had I loved too much? Protected too fiercely? Enabled without realizing? It is a terrible thing to question your own motherhood. But I did. Reclaiming my strength. The next morning I met my lawyer. We fortified everything. Updated the will. Appointed a neutral third party for medical and financial decisions. Added clauses requiring multiple professional evaluations before any claim of incompetence. Placed restrictions on property transfers. It wasn't about punishment. It was about dignity. For the first time in years, I wasn't reacting as a mother. I was acting as Emma. A woman who deserved security. A woman who deserved respect. A daughter's shame. A week later, Lily came alone. She looked exhausted, smaller somehow. "I'm sorry," she whispered. Her voice trembled in a way that reminded me of her at 12 years old, confessing to breaking a neighbor's window. "I let fear guide me," she said, "and pride. I didn't want to admit we failed again." Tears streamed down her face. "I told myself you wouldn't mind, that you'd understand." I took a slow breath. "I will always love you," I said, "but love is not ownership, and it is not obligation." She nodded through tears. "I don't want your house," she whispered. "I want us." That sentence softened something inside me, but it didn't erase the crack. Trust rebuilds slowly. Brick by brick. Growth through pain. They sought financial counseling. They downsized. They stopped chasing quick success and started building stability. And I began rediscovering parts of myself long buried beneath motherhood. I joined a travel group for women over 50. I planted lavender in the garden. I started painting again, a hobby I had abandoned decades ago. At 60 years old, I realized something powerful. I am more than someone's safety net. I am a whole human being. The moral I carry forward. Here is what I have learned. Love without boundaries becomes sacrifice without respect. Helping your children is noble. Allowing them to consume you is not. Age does not mean weakness. Kindness does not mean surrender. And motherhood does not mean forfeiting your autonomy. That morning when my lawyer texted "call now," I thought my world was ending. In truth, it was shifting. Painful clarity replaced blind trust. And though the wound still aches sometimes, it also taught me strength I didn't know I still possessed. My name is Emma, I am 60 years old. I survived heartbreak once before. And I survived this too. Because sometimes the greatest act of love is not giving everything away. It is standing firm and saying, I matter too.